This is the Yocal Idaho Midweek Report, where we give you a quick overview of the news in Idaho for last week. This week's Midweek Report, we're going to start off with some hard hitters related to some updates about the University of Phoenix and U of I merger, then an update about the Saltzer medical closing, and then alleged racial allegations that are occurring up in Coeur d'Alene. Then we'll be cleaning up some stuff that's related to the legislator that happened. They wrapped up this last Friday. We'll also touch on some stuff going on in the Treasure Valley, and then wrap up the whole episode with some news about some outdoor activities. But as I tease, starting off here, Idaho AG ordered to pay over $240K in legal fees for the University of Phoenix lawsuit. This comes by KTVB7 by Laura Guido of the Idaho Press. In the latest chapter of the saga surrounding the University of Idaho and its controversial pursuit of the University of Phoenix, Ada County District Court Judge Jason Scott has ordered Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador to pay a substantial sum exceeding $242,700. Those who listen to our segment on this will know this financial blow comes as a result of Labrador's failed lawsuit against the State Board of Education over alleged violation of open meeting law during the board's private discussions about acquiring the online university. The judge's order, filed on last Tuesday, mandates Labrador's office to cover $233,362.87 in attorney fees and $9,363.15 in cost, a decision that the State Board has welcomed as vindication, despite the burden ultimately falling on taxpayers. The lawsuit, which Labrador's office plans to appeal, centered on the legality of the State Board's executive sessions and whether they adhere to Idaho's open meeting law. The State Board has invoked an exemption from preliminary negotiations, a point contested by Labrador, especially after the University of Phoenix, Arkansas withdrew its bid for the University of Phoenix, leaving no apparent competition. Despite the legal tussle, the State Board's efforts to finalize the purchase through a non-profit entity have hit legislative snags, with recent legal opinions questioning the board's authority to create such an entity. This ongoing legal and legislative battle underscores the complexities and high stakes involved in the State Board's ambitious educational venture. And speaking of things that are kind of stirring the pot here, alleged racial incident in Coeur d'Alene sparks widespread condemnation. This comes by the Idaho Dispatch by Sarah Clendenon. Over the weekend of March 23rd to March 24th, the University of Utah's women's basketball team, participating in the 2024 NCAA Collegiate Basketball Tournament in Spokane, became the center of an incident while dining in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. According to allegations made by Robert Moyer, the team encountered racial harassment from passengers in trucks outside Crafted, a local restaurant, on Thursday evening, March 21st. The alleged harassment involved derogatory racial slurs directed at the team members. Despite these claims, no concrete evidence has yet emerged, and the Coeur d'Alene police have not questioned any suspects or witnesses regarding the incident as of the reading of the script. The response from Idaho leaders has been swift and unified in the condemnation of the alleged actions. Statements from the mayor of Coeur d'Alene, Jim Hammond, Idaho's Lieutenant Governor Stott Bedke, Governor Brad Little, and a joint statement from leaders of both major political parties in the Idaho legislature have expressed deep regret and outrage, emphasizing that such behavior does not reflect the values of Coeur d'Alene or Idaho. Meanwhile, the incident has sparked a broader debate, with some local voices suggesting political motives. Despite this, the overarching narrative remains one of community and its leaders standing together against the possible actions, underscoring Idaho's commitment to dignity and respect. And speaking of things going on up north, the $56 million rehabilitation of Avista's North Channel Dam. This comes out of the Coeur d'Alene/Post Falls Press by Devin Weeks. After nearly 5 decades without updates, Avista's hydroelectric development North Channel Dam on the Spokane River is set for a monumental $56 million rehabilitation project. Constructed 118 years ago, this historic dam is a testament to quality engineering, but time has taken its toll. Avista project manager Craig Grossman highlighted the importance of the modernization, noting that much of the dam's equipment remains original from its 1906 construction. The comprehensive rehabilitation, slated to begin this spring, aims to ensure the dam's safety and reliable operation while maintaining the water levels of the Coeur d'Alene Lake. This initiative marks the first phase in the modernization of the facility, which plays a crucial role in controlling the water levels of the Coeur d'Alene, St. Joe, and St. Mary's rivers, in addition to housing generating units that supply clean energy to thousands of homes. The project will address the dam's aging concrete structure, replace steel spillway gates and hoists, and modernize its electrical and control systems. A temporary access road and retaining wall are also part of the plans, with gate work commencing post-spring runoff. Community engagement has been a priority, with Avista hosting an open house to discuss the project's scope, environmental impacts, and efforts to preserve the dam's historic equipment. Despite the necessary closure of the Falls Park's southern portion and its parking lot until July of 2027, Avista is committed to minimizing the disruption and exploring alternative parking solutions. This project not only underscores the importance of maintaining crucial infrastructure, but also celebrates the legacy of a facility that has powered the region for over a century. And speaking of somewhere that hasn't been making it, closure of Saltzer medical clinics. What's next for Idaho's Treasure Valley? This comes by the Boise Dev by Aaron Banks Rusby. Those who are regular listeners of the show will remember the impending closure of the Saltzer medical clinics, a move announced by its partner company, Intermountain Health, due to financial strains. This decision leaves over 400 staff members in limbo and tens of thousands of patients pondering the next steps for medical care. The company's proactive communication strategy aims to minimize the disruption, directing patients and caregivers to resources that outline future arrangements, including potential employment opportunities for its workforce and new medical homes for its patients. The ripple effect of Saltzer Medical's closure are felt across the Treasure Valley, with healthcare providers like Primary Health and St. Luke's preparing to absorb the influx of primary care patients. The transition is not just about finding new providers, but also integrating Saltzer's experienced physicians into new settings, ensuring that patients' care remains uninterrupted. This situation underscores the high demand for primary care services in the region, exacerbated by the rapid population growth. Which, if you had no idea about the stories that we just talked about, do us a favor and hit the like button on YouTube, Rumble, or Twitter. Helps us reach more folks who love Idaho just like you. And speaking of things seemingly hitting a dead end, Bannock County says no. Ban on large-scale solar wind projects. This comes by East Idaho Knows by Logan Ramsey. In a decision that has stirred community engagement, the Bannock County Commission voted to ban large-scale solar and wind projects, with a majority favoring the ordinance after a public hearing where opinions were sharply divided. Commissioner Chairman Ernie Moser and Commissioner John Crowder supported the ban, citing an urgent deadline to enact an ordinance following a moratorium placed last September. This moratorium was intended to provide time for planning and the development staff to draft appropriate regulations for such projects. Despite their votes, both Moser and Crowder hinted at the possibility of revisiting the issue to potentially accommodate future projects under more carefully crafted regulations. Commissioner Jeff Huff, who voted against the ordinance, raised concerns about the infringement on private property rights, questioning the extent of government intervention. The ban has significant implications for two companies, Balanced Rock Power and Hecate Energy, which had plans for solar farms in the Marshall Valley. The decision was met with disappointment from the companies and affected landowners, who saw the ban as a hindrance to economic growth and an unnecessary limitation on land use. And speaking of things being political and money, Idaho Senate passes bill to preempt local universal basic income initiative. This comes by the Boise Dev by Margaret Carmel. The Idaho Senate has passed House Bill 572, effectively barring any city, county, or state agency from implementing a Universal Basic Income, or UBI, program for low-income residents. The bill, introduced by Representative Dale Hawkins, a Republican from Fernwood, swiftly cleared the House and underwent amendments in the Senate to ensure it does not interfere with programs that require employment, job seeking, or specific training for financial assistance. Senator Brian Lenny, a Republican from Nampa, championed the bill in the Senate, framing it as a preventative measure against government dependency, reminiscent of the enhanced unemployment benefits during the COVID-19 pandemic. Lenny argued that welfare benefits should not incentivize able-bodied adults to stay home over working, positioning the bill as a safeguard for Idaho's work ethic and economic stability. The bill's journey through the legislature was marked by clear partisan lines, with Democrats standing in opposition. Senator Ali Robb, a Democrat from Boise, highlighted highlighted the potential of the UBI programs to assist vulnerable populations, such as veterans and single mothers. Similarly, Senator Melissa Wintra, a Democrat from Boise also, pointed to the success of Alaska's long-standing UBI program and the stringent eligibility criteria of similar programs nationwide. Despite these debates, the bill's signing by Governor Little on March 28th signals Idaho's firm stance against adopting direct cash assistance programs at the local level. And also keeping with bills and the welfare state, Idaho Senate passes House Bill 545, Section 8 housing shot down. This comes by KTVB 7 by Carolina Contosolis of the Idaho Press. In a significant legislative move, the Idaho Senate has passed House Bill 545, marking a pivotal change for rental regulations in Idaho and potentially setting a new precedent for the state's housing market. This bill, which we've extensively covered in a segment on the Sunday show a few weeks back, seeks to eliminate Boise's $30 cap on rental application fees and remove requirements for large landlords to accept Section 8 housing vouchers. The bill's passage reflects a broader debate on the balance between local government control and the principles of the free market, with supporters arguing for individual rights and autonomy of landlords in the rental process. As House Bill 545 now heads to Governor Little's desk, its implications for the state's rental landscape and the city's efforts to address housing concerns are at the forefront of discussion among policymakers, landlords, and tenants alike. The passage of House Bill 545 has sparked a range of reactions, with critics voicing concerns over the potential erosion of local control and the consumer protections in the face of a challenging housing market. On the other hand, proponents like Senator Doug Okonovich emphasizes the bill's straightforward nature, advocating for a housing market governed by capitalism and free market principles. As Idaho navigates the complexities of housing affordability and tenant protections, the passage of House Bill 545 represents a critical moment in the ongoing dialogue between market freedoms and the meeting of the needs of the community. And speaking of the community, Wallace City Council debates new noise ordinance in upcoming hearing. This comes by the Shoshone News Press by Josh McDonald. The Wallace City Council is gearing up for a public hearing on April 10th, where they will discuss a comprehensive draft noise ordinance that has been in the development since November of last year. Spearheaded by Councilman Rich Matriciano, the 6-page document aims to address all facets of potential noise violations within the city, defining noise as any unwanted sound that may disturb or adversely affect public health and welfare. The proposed ordinance sets limits, capping sound at 70 decibels at the property line of complainants or 50 feet from the sound's origin, with specific rules for construction noise and exceptions for snow removal, alarm systems, and holiday celebrations. This initiative reflects Wallace's attempts to balance its vibrant nightlife, especially during the summer months, with the need for peaceful rest during designated quiet hours. As the city anticipates public hearings, residents will have the opportunity to voice their supports, opposition, or neutral stances on the ordinance. The council faces challenges of enacting rules that are both reasonable and enforceable, with penalties ranging from a $300 fine for the first-time violators to potential misdemeanors for charges for repeat offenders. Councilman Matriciano's goal is to provide residents with peace of mind, ensuring that the community has the means to address noise disturbances without dampening the spirit of Wallace's lively social scene. The outcome of the April 10th meeting will set a new standard for noise regulation in Wallace, with the council ready to make a major decision or consider amendments based on public feedback. Which, if you're listening from Wallace and you want to make sure people don't miss this or any of the other stuff we've talked about on this show, please don't hesitate to share it. Your shares help us spread the word about our beautiful state. And then coming back down to the valley, Meridian Canine Rescue finds a new home in Emmett. This comes by KTVB7 by staff. The Meridian Canine Rescue, or MCR, a nonprofit non-kill animal shelter, has announced a significant transition from its current Meridian location to a sprawling 15-acre farm in Emmett. This move, prompted by the rising cost of rent, marks a new development for the organization known for giving formerly owned animals a second chance through behavioral training and rehabilitation. The new Emmett property not only offers a serene and spacious environment for the dogs, but also opens up the possibility for expanding the shelter's rescue efforts to include farm animals. Executive Director Jessica Ewing expressed excitement about the relocation, highlighting the potential for a 30% increase in the shelter's capacity by the end of 2024. This move to a real home setting is expected to enhance the dogs' preparation for life in their future adoptive homes, while also broadening the scope of services MCR can offer for community communities and its animals. The successful acquisition of the Emmett property was made possible through the overwhelming support of the Boise and Meridian communities, whose generous donations and fundraising efforts have been helpful. In an impressive display, MCR's relocation campaign raised over $39,200 in less than 48 hours, surpassing its original goal. As MCR gears up to recruit volunteers in Emmett by the end of April, the organization has also had an event at the Delton Royal last Thursday to share its vision and plans for the new property with the community. This move not only signifies the growth for Meridian Canine Rescue, but also reinforces the bond between shelters and the community it serves, promising a brighter future for countless animals in need of love. And speaking of something that we all love, food, Boise streamlines food licensing process for trucks and market vendors. This comes by KTVB7 by Caroline Komatulsis of the Idaho Press. The city of Boise has taken steps to support local food entrepreneurs by unanimously passing an ordinance aimed at simplifying the food licensing process. The new legislation, which focuses on food trucks and farm market vendors, eliminates redundant background checks, shifting from individual employee licensing to business licensing, and removing duplicate licenses that merely confirm health district approval. This move is part of a broad effort to cut red tape and foster a more business-friendly environment, particularly in startups and small businesses in the food industry. Mary Lauren McLean highlighted the urgency of the ordinance, noting the timely approach to the upcoming market season in Boise. The previous licensing provision, which was often unclear, led to limited compliance among food truck operators and vendors. Under the new ordinance, these mobile eating and drinking establishments will now be reclassified as Tier 1 businesses, aligning them with brick-and-mortar restaurants that do not require FBI background checks. The change is designed to streamline the regulatory process and ensure that food vendors can operate more efficiently, contributing to a vibrant culinary scene in Boise. Councilmember Jimmy Halliburton commended the collaborative effort to address the challenges faced by markets and food trucks, resulting in a practical solution that benefits the entire community. And also, speaking of another thing people love in Boise, the Boise Foothills welcomes 2 new trails for outdoor enthusiasts. This comes by the Boise Deb by Gretchen Parsons. The Boise's Ridge to River Trail system is set to expand with the addition of 2 eagerly anticipated trails, offering fresh adventures for the city's outdoor enthusiasts. The city of Boise, in collaboration with various partners, announced the development of the Coeur Connection Trail and the 8th Street Downhill Mountain Bike Trail, both slated for completion within the next year and a half. The Coeur Connection Trail, stretching approximately 1.8 miles, will serve as a link between the Hulls Gulch Reserve Trails and the Rocky Canyon Area Trails, positioned between Watchman Trail 3 and Fairwright Patrol Trail 6 on the Bureau of Land Management BLM land. Construction is expected to commence this fall, with the trail ready for use by November of 2024, though it may be subject to winter closures. On the other hand, the 8th Street Downhill Mountain Bike Trail, a 1.7-mile trail designed specifically for downhill mountain bikes, marks a significant first within the Ridge to Rivers Trail system, located west of the Upper 8th Street Road on BLM land and property owned by the Highland Livestock and Land Company. Construction is set to begin in 2025, with the trail opening seasonally from April through November. Ridge to River Program Manager David Gordon expressed enthusiasm for the new additions, highlighting their potential to enhance recreational experiences in the high-use areas of the Boise Foothills. These projects, funded by the City of Boise and support by BLM, Ada County Parks and Waterways, the Boise National Forest, and Idaho's Department of Fish and Game, reflects the continued love and demand for outdoor activities in the Treasure Valley area. Which, if you've loved learning about Idaho and you don't want to miss any more of it, make sure to subscribe or follow us so you don't miss any of our future content. And getting to the end here, speaking of outdoor areas, Idaho Endowment land in McCall up for lease, developers invited to submit proposals. This comes by the Boise Dev by Sydney Kidd. The Idaho Department of Lands, IDL, is offering approximately 12.5 acres of state-owned endowment land in McCall for lease. The property, known as the Dinehard A parcel, is located at the corner of Dinehard Lane and Spring Mountain Road, just west of Ridley's grocery store, currently zoned as a, quote, community commercial, end quote. The land can be utilized for retail, service, and mixed-use projects, with a maximum of 40 dwellings per acre. IDL is seeking proposals from developers, with the winning bid set to negotiate a lease for up to 49 years with the state. However, due to previous complications with cottage sites on endowment lands near Payette Lake, the state has expressed a sensitivity towards split estate situations where the state owns the land, but individuals would own the houses built upon it. But with that said, the lease will then go through an auction process where RFP winners will bid against any other interested parties. While multiple bidders are common for leases on sand, gravel, and timber sales, the state acknowledges that commercial property auctions may not generate as much competition. Nonetheless, the successful proposal will generate funds for the Public School Endowment Fund. Developers have until August 30th of 2024 at 5 p.m. to submit their proposals for the price piece of Idaho's endowment land in McCall. And speaking of things out in the beautiful great outdoors, and Morrison Park's iconic clock to be restored and relocated. This comes by the Boise Dev. Boise's and Morrison Park is set to turn back the hands of time with a restoration project that will breathe new life into its iconic clock tower. The Harry Dub Morrison Foundation has proposed to move the 40-foot tall structure, currently featuring a 90s styles digital clock face, to a more visible location near the park's fountain. The revamp will include replacing the non-functional digital faces with a new clock face and internal movement, harkening back to the tower's original design. This initiative, which has been a top priority in the strategic planning and public feedback since 2016, aims to restore the clock back to its former glory, ensuring its functionality for years to come. Funded by the Morrison Foundation, the Morrison-Knudsen Foundation, and private donations, the project seeks to correct the long-standing issues that have plagued the clock since its installation, including damage from moisture and heat. The Idaho Heritage Trust supports the restoration, emphasizing the importance of preserving the clock's historic aesthetic while implementing designed improvements to prevent past problems. The clock's tower restoration is part of a series of enhancements at the Ann Morrison Park, which has recently seen the addition of a new dog island, an upgraded shelter, and a revamped fountain. With the future of new projects like a new stairway and a rafting takeout area upgrades on the horizon, the park continues to evolve as a cherished urban oasis in the heart of Boise. And closing us out here with our last story, and also keeping on the bright outdoors, Zoo Idaho welcomes spring with weekend openings. This comes by the East Idaho News by staff. As spring breathes fresh energy into Idaho, the Pocatello Zoo is gearing up to welcome visitors on weekends throughout April, offering an opportunity to connect with the region's indigenous wildlife. Known for its commitment to showcasing species native to the Intermountain West, Zoo Idaho serves as a sanctuary for animals that, due to various circumstances, can no longer survive in the wild. These animals, many of which have been rescued with the assistance of Idaho Fish and Game and other organizations, find a forever home at the zoo, making every visit a direct contribution to animal and wildlife conservation efforts. With weekday hours set to resume on May 1st, the zoo invites families, students, and wildlife enthusiasts to explore its exhibits and learn about the creatures. Admission is affordably priced at $4.50 for children under 11 and $6.50 for adults, with special discounts available for local students, seniors, military members, and groups of 10 or more. As Zoo Idaho opens its doors for the spring season, it promises an enriching experience for families that walk through its gates and a place for people to interact with some amazing creatures. With that said, I hope you get to enjoy that beautiful weather and all these cool places and developments that are going on in Idaho. Thank you for listening to the entire report. I sincerely hope you found it enjoyable and valuable. If you like the Midweek report, make sure to check out the Sunday show where John and I talk about the main stories going on in Idaho and dive into them. Also, if we missed any important points or provided incorrect information, please feel free to reach out to us via email at localyocalidaho2022@gmail.com or on Twitter by tweeting us at localyocalidaho. With the small team we have, we're not able to cover everything, but we do our best to cover the most interesting and important stories. Thank you for your continued support and assistance. That's all for now, and I wish you a fantastic rest of your week. Godspeed.